Hey, what's going on, Divine Feminines? Thank you so much for tuning in. All right, so let's see what's going on in the twin flame world. Y'all, all I can say is that there's going to be some changes. And these changes, it's going to be sudden, y'all. It's going to come out of nowhere. You're just going to be like, what the just happened? And these changes are, it can feel like complete chaos, but I don't want to say that to you to scare you. But just know that it's happening to change some things, okay? So something needs to change in your life, in your dynamic, all right, with your divine masculine, okay? So it's a choice that needs to be made that has not been made. And I feel like this is something that we've been confronted with on numerous occasions, not just in this cycle, but in previous cycles before, okay? So of course, you know, when it gets like this, we're coming to the end of a cycle. So there's an ending of something or some sort. And so Divine Feminine, I feel like I want to pull from Believe in Your Own Magic right now. So I'm going to pull from there first. I'm sitting at the park. If you hear a lot of kids in the background. But, all right, so it's so crazy because I did a collective reading and it was saying you are the narrative of, you can narrate your own story. So the card that came out just now was you can always rewrite your story, okay? And it has villain on it, right? So apparently, right, Divine Feminine, like whatever is happening, you can rewrite your own story. You don't have to relinquish your power or your control to somebody else's story or what they want it to be for you, okay? If it's not working for you and it's not what you want, now it's time for you to put the pen to the pad and start recreating or creating a new story for yourself. Let me read from the book what the villain says. Pause for a second. Alright, so it says, a hard truth to swallow. Sometimes our villains win. However, that doesn't mean you should give up or lose all hope. It just means that it's time to rewrite the story and keep going. It can be incredibly freeing and empowering to reclaim yourself after a personal tragedy. Okay? Sometimes our villains win. Alright? But it doesn't mean you can't rewrite your story. Alright? So, and I wouldn't take it as a loss, Divine Feminine. Tell me about that. The World card comes out and it's in the reverse position. And so somebody has this feeling of emptiness, or like they're feeling like they're missing something. Let's see. What do they feel like they're missing? So I feel like Divine Masculine may be feeling like they're missing something, okay? And that they can't get it from you. Yeah, 5 of Cups. And so what I'm seeing with that 5 of Cups is that they're grieving, they're mourning something, you know, the loss of something here. A lot of remorse, a lot of regret. You may have thought you guys were moving forward. Yes, you can get in the back. Hold on one second. You may have thought that you were moving forward with the situation. So I feel like right now you could be holding on to a lot of fear. But you got to listen to your intuition. But I feel like you could be blocked in your intuition a little bit here because all of a sudden, you know, like I said, the Knight of Pentacles, Divine Masculine is in that energy here. So instead of dreaming about it or whatever it is that you hope for yourself, or even when it comes down to them, it's like this feeling of now it's time to take action. Like it's no longer time to keep dreaming about it. It's time to make a plan, and it's time to take action. This person lacks direction. King of Swords in the reverse. Okay, so as you can see, again, the masculines are lacking direction, and now it's time for you. Right, they gotta level up. The Emperor. They have to level up, okay, because they're still looking at the past as their happiness in some sort. So whatever it is that they may have lost, they're feeling like they lost something that they prayed for. They're feeling like they, the success, they feel like, whether it's about love, whatever, it's like they feel like they lost that. A lot of regret from the past. Okay, so it's something there, right? And this is why they lack the direction. And now, again, Spirit is saying it's time for them to level up. Okay, it's time for an awakening here, but it's affecting Divine Feminine in a negative way, right? Because now it's putting you in a cycle where things have took a turn for the worse. Okay, so. And again, like I say, where you may have thought things were moving forward, it kind of like set you back here. And so now, like I said, don't look at it as a setback, because you and the masculine were not moving forward initially anyway. Okay, so the 10 of Swords comes out, and you are experiencing some type of painful ending, or it could lead to some type of painful ending. I do feel like when it comes down to whatever these wounds are that you have, they're deep. These wounds run deep. And basically what's happening with this ending, it's like, how you got a wound and you just keep scratching it and it never heals. And it just seems to just, it just gets worse. It's like it keeps being open. That's what I'm hearing. And so now it's like, soon as you think the wound is healing, guess what? Something else happens, and then that wound is reopened again. Okay, so it's like the old triggers, the old stuff from the past, like whatever that was that could have happened that was painful before, you start reliving that same pain, and you thought you may have went into a state of acceptance with that, with the 5 of Cups coming out, but in reality, you thought you were moving on from it, but then bam, this situation takes place again, and they become the villain in your story. But you can rewrite this story. So how? Can I get direction on how? Take some time to rest. All right, so you're definitely going to have to release this fear. All right, so again, it's like you need solitude. You need to get by yourself, okay? Because you may be allowing some negative energy to overcome you, or however, it's overwhelming you that you can't even see. You can't see. All right, so it's definitely a lack of or miscommunication with the 8 of Wands in a reverse position taking place. But it's like whatever you thought was moving, it felt like it just picked up. It picked up. Something was moving very quickly, but then guess what? Something takes place, and boom, now you got to consider the next step. All right, and that's not something that you may have expected or was. But again, like I said, it's like you can always rewrite your story. It doesn't have to go the way that it's going. So how did this villain win? Like, elaborate on that. Guess what? Why? Because they were able to, sorry, I got distracted by whatever that noise was. Reason being is because what was a loss for them, now they can actually move forward. So they're now healing, forgiveness has taken place, and they're rejoining or connecting here with the masculines in some kind of way. Okay? And so it seems like they won because they got what they wanted, or what it appears to look like that they got what they wanted. And now you're on the other end of the sadness. You're on the other end of the grief and despair. So I'm gonna come back a little later with part 2. So just bear with me, you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Peace.